All right, great. Well, Donato, thanks again for being the facilitator today for our webinar. Really, and thank you for everyone taking the time to participate in this webinar. And really, the goal here is to, I guess, educate everybody on the importance of clean air, especially with what's happening with COVID-19, and the timing of considering a purchase or rental of air purification systems for your offices with the PPP loan, which is providing funding for air purification. So with that said, just a quick introduction on the panelists today. We have Steve Serino, our VP of Sales at Boston Clean, myself, Wade Winters. I'm on one of 3 executive sales representatives. For the Celios team, we have Rob Stone, the CFO, Brian Packard, the CEO, and then Donato, who is, again, not just our facilitator for this webinar, but he and his team has created our amazing website. So thanks, Donato.
Thank you.
Kind of getting into our history, I want to play a quick fun video, and then I'm going to ask Steve Serino to provide some history about Boston Bean and what we've done to adapt to today's times and creating a whole new division. So right now I'm just going to play this video.
Over the past 50 years, the needs of the modern office have evolved. And over the years, Boston Bean has been committed to meeting the needs of your team, your office. From touch-free beverage machines and individually wrapped snacks to Boston Clean, our new line of cleaning and sanitation products. We provide everything you need to keep your office and your team clean, safe, and healthy. Contact us today.
I hope everyone was able to hear that okay.
Yes, we hear it.
So Steve, maybe you could give everyone a quick background on our company and again, kind of what we've changed into with products and services today.
Sure. First, I love that video, Wade. I love seeing people back in the office,
Yeah.
even if they are animated.
Over the past 50
Sorry.
Great to see. Thank you all for being present. So I'll give you a little brief history of us leading up to where we are today and how it correlates to air filtration. So for over 50 years, Boston Bean has provided break room solutions to the workplace, almost primarily to the workplace. That's always been our focus. So we provide coffee solutions, hydration solutions such as Bevy, break room supplies, snacks, canned and bottled beverages, pretty much anything you can imagine for the break room. What's always set us apart has been the high level of service we're able to provide and the relationships that we're able to build with our clients. Prior to the pandemic, things were going great. It was pretty amazing. Our clients were really constantly looking to improve the amenities in their break room in an effort to attract and retain employees. And yeah, things were just going wild. And then the explosion happened. COVID-19 came. And for us, it felt like it happened overnight on Thursday, March 12th. In 1 week's time, our sales had plummeted 85%. And the phone was ringing off the hook, not for people to place orders, but clients letting us know that their office will be closed for an extended period of time. It was a bit scary for us. After a period of pretty much silence after those calls all came in, when we started to communicate with our clients again, it was evident that the clients still open, the healthcare, biotechs, some of the other essential businesses. It was evident that they really weren't looking for supplies, the traditional supplies from us. They were looking for solutions to help keep their workplace more safe. Sanitizer, disinfectant, masks and gloves, those sorts of products. And the clients that weren't open yet were trying to create plans for reopening. And again, part of that plan was things like sanitizers and masks and gloves. And then we got into a product called Nanoseptic. It's touch point surfaces, antimicrobial copper, to make people feel more safe about touching the surfaces around the workplace. And that brought us to today, which is air filtration. we started a few months ago, and it's been going well, and many clients are still not open. So we're trying to connect with a lot of our clients to see what they need in that realm. I think that pretty much brings us to where we are today, Wade. Anything
Yes.
to add on that?
No, that's a great backstory there. I mean, just to, again, compliment what our customers have done in terms of that relationship is they turned to us first for many of these new materials based on that relationship we had with them for the typical office and break room supplies. So I want to pass it off to Brian. Maybe Brian, give some history about Celios and how you guys developed this air purifier.
Sure. Thank you, Wade. And thank you, Steve, as well, for the opportunity to work with Boston Bean, Boston Clean. Celios is a Massachusetts corporation, emerging company that has been working on advanced air purification for the better part of 6 years. We didn't invent our technology for the purposes of combating COVID-19, but we're certainly thrilled to be in a position where we can be a small part of the solution for a very scary moment in all of our lives. We're a private organization that has been entirely focused on the research and development and commercialization of advanced air technologies. We actually started with a suite of patents, intellectual property to create wearable respirators like you see used in hospitals. And we took that technology and created our first product, which you see on the screen here, which is called the G200, which is a small, portable, advanced air purification technology that is capable of capturing the SARS-CoV-2 virus. It's a medical device that makes a medical device claim. And our mission is very simple. It's to provide pure air to improve lives. And that's for small businesses and for schools, for restaurants, for hospitality, for consumers, which we do through a separate division. Our basic technology is very similar to the technology developed for clean rooms, which is where pharmaceutical grade products, medical devices, high performance chipsets for Silicon Valley type of applications are manufactured. And we miniaturized clean room quality mechanical filtration systems into our device. And the result is that we can capture at a very, very high efficiency level. In fact, the highest efficiency level in the marketplace today in a portable device that can clean a room or your personal space. And it's very unique in the fact that we focus on being able to capture the large particles that traditional HEPA filters can capture, but also the smallest particles down to 10 nanometers. So we'll talk about that a bit later. We're in the midst of a very rapid expansion and working with distributors and sales agents across the country. And we're thrilled to be working with Boston Bean, Boston Clean. It really comes down to trust. We've built a strong level of trust between our two companies, and I know you as Boston Bean's customers trust them for what they've done for you over the years. So we're thrilled to be a part of this partnership, Wade.
Thanks, Brian. Steve, you commented on how our typical amenities used to be prior to the pandemic. And as people return to the office, I think they're still going to expect their coffee, their espresso, their cold brew, and their snacks. But certainly now those requirements for amenities and break room supplies has expanded tremendously, anywhere from touch-free equipment for our brewers and water systems to the PPEs. And as you mentioned, the nanoseptic, and of course, air filtration is going to be a huge part of what the employees are going to expect. We understand HVAC systems are being upgraded in a lot of the facilities and office environments of our clients, but HVAC systems first and foremost are air movers, not necessarily developed to specifically clean air. So to supplement that air filtration within the office environment, especially the personal spaces for our clients and customers, we saw as very important. We latched onto it knowing that this is something that our customers would need in order to make their their employees feel better about being in the office. So again, that's the main reason why we are promoting this with this webinar today.
Yeah, if I could just maybe add to that, Wade, maybe just even on that same slide, it's very interesting that Steve, you mentioned March 12th, March 13th. I remember the world changed for us. Rob and I finished a board meeting and it said, see you Monday. And boy, the world changed. That was the day that the NHL and the NBA shut down. And just all of a sudden, it felt like a dramatically different world. And if we track the evolution of the disease and the pandemic, if you think about the early days in that March kind of June time period, it was all about surfaces and wearing gloves, and we're washing down our groceries and our wine bottles. And over time, the CDC and the World Health Organization started talking about the importance of airborne transmission. And that was the advent of droplets and masks and keeping 6 foot distance, because the droplets could only transmit 6 feet or so. And as the thinking and understanding of SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus that causes COVID-19, has changed, the broad scientific realization has, I think, illuminated the fact that it's the very smallest particles, the aerosolized particles that we all breathe when we talk, or just we emit when we talk and when we breathe, not just sneezing and coughing, that stay in the air the longest. And that's really why we're now hearing about wearing 2 masks and the importance of air purification and indoor air quality. So much so that the CDC has recommended across industries, for schools, for restaurants, for hotels, and for small businesses, that HVAC systems, even if you've retrograded them with MERV filtration or higher level filtration, they recommend the supplementary air filtering systems to purify the air. And the government has followed the science and is now making money available for small businesses like us to do just that. So just wanted to add those points there, Wade.
Great points and feedback. Thanks, Brian. So maybe Brian or Rob, maybe explain a little bit more, again, about the technology behind your specific air purification unit.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So I mentioned before, particle size matters. And just to sort of frame this conversation, I'm going to mention nanometers. A nanometer is a billionth of a meter, which is really kind of hard to wrap your head around. But if you were to line up 60,000 nanometers side by side, that's the diameter of a typical human hair. So that's the size that we're talking about. And just to frame this conversation a little further, if you were to take a single SARS-CoV-2 virus, virion, the little particle itself, it's about 120 nanometers. Now it normally travels on aerosols, but that's about as small as it can be when it travels. So it looks like a softball to our filter, because we can filter down to 10 nanometers, which is dramatically smaller, in fact, 30 times smaller than the most penetrating particle size of a HEPA filter, which probably most of you have heard about. So particle size matters because the smaller the particle, as I mentioned, the longer it hangs in the air, but it also has the highest chance of being able to be inhaled into our lungs, down to the alveoli, and cross into the blood and spread to our body. So whether you're talking about the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which hopefully we get under control, or the common cold, rhinovirus, or we're talking about the annual flu virus or any other airborne bacteria, it's always important to make sure that we're protecting ourselves from the smallest particles. So HEPA filters, which is a technology that was commercialized in the 1950s, wonderful standard that maintains that you must be able to capture 99.97% of particles at the 300 nanometer size. Our technology is what we call 7 nines. So 99 and 5 more nines after the decimal point efficient. It's 3,000 times more efficient than a HEPA filter, and again, 30 times smaller than a HEPA filter. So these particles that we focus on are the most dangerous, and our third-party clinical research at leading laboratories around the country have validated and enabled us to be able to make this FDA-regulated claim that we can effectively capture the SARS-CoV-2 virus. It's a very important claim that is very rare in the air purification space. So I think I'll leave it there, Wade.
Brian, you make a very good point, because, while I guess the light is on the fact that, air purifying is really important because of COVID-19, this isn't a short-term situation, because that, to your point, that next virus will come, that next allergen, that next bacteria, whatever the case might be. There's always going to be that next issue where air filtration is going to continue to be an important part of any office environment, any small business environment. So to us, this again is a long-term investment for supporting our customers.
Yeah, and to amplify that point, I'm sure you've all seen on the news, in Massachusetts in particular, it's the best flu season we've had in decades. And it's because of all of the precautions that we're taking. We're washing our hands, we're being cognizant of surface cleanliness, we're not putting our hands near our mouths, we're deploying air purifiers and wearing masks and being socially distant. And I think going forward, the idea would be that we get back to some sort of normalcy without feeling like we're not the humans we're intended to be. And a good thing to do is to put these supplemental air purifiers in the background, so they do the work and we don't have to be wearing masks 24/7. So it's a really great point, Wade. This not only is the problem not going away, the awareness around how important the air that we breathe, that's not going away either.
Good point. This slide kind of more of a visual, but supportive of some of the things you've already mentioned, but did you want to elaborate any more on this one?
Yeah, just a comment, and maybe if time allows later, I'll show you the 3 types of filters that our particular device has. But in addition to size mattering very much, it's also important to clean the air of allergens and of odors, right? As humans, none of us carry around laser particle counters to know how clean our air is. We carry around our nose. And when you walk in a room and it feels stale or musty, we have or if you smell the smell of gas, we have hardwired into our system this feedback loop that tells us when the air is clean. And our particular device has an oversized carbon filter to also eliminate odors and volatile organic compounds, gases that can build up in offices, particularly small offices that don't have adequate ventilation. You get off-gassing from the paint and from your vinyl and from your computer. So we really tried to pull together a whole suite of technologies to make sure that it's not only the airborne particulates, but also the gases and odors.
Excellent point. Again, one of the main issues that we felt was important to bring to the attention of many of our customers is the timing of purchasing air purifiers, and it has a lot to do with the PPP round 2 loans. So Rob, maybe you can speak more about the details of this and why the timing is right to consider air purifiers.
Yes, please, Wade. This program, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, super. This program, it's named the Paycheck Protection Program. It's gone far beyond that, actually. So it's even better than the first wave of funds that were available. It's an additional $284 billion, and it covers some additional operating expenses, but also recognizes that businesses have had to incur incrementally to make their environments safe for their employees and, in some cases, customers coming through, of course. And that is a reimbursable expense. So as Brian mentioned, the CDC rightfully still recognized the airborne nature of the virus. So air purification, money spent on that is covered 100% of what you've spent, no matter the steps you've taken, including, of course, air purifiers such as ours. So that is an excellent move. We're really happy to have that to be part of the program. And it's good the government has recognized that. The other thing with the Paycheck Protection Program is it's pretty slick. It's not difficult to request a loan. The money becomes available quickly. The reimbursement for, let's say, forgiveness percentage very high. And even if it's not, the rate is low and it's a very long tail to the payback. So it's definitely something to look into and make sure that you include all of these types of expenses in what you request. Now, there's only a limited amount of time. You have until March 31st in order to apply. So even if you're not operating right now, I would get that set of expenses together and get the application in, which when you do start to operate, you'll have plenty of time to go back and include those expenses as part of what is covered. It's not March 31st is the application, not the period in which you can apply for forgiveness. So
That's
it's
really
definitely a step to take advantage of. Thanks, Wade.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to interrupt, Rob, but your point there about the timing, we hear a lot of our clients saying, listen, we're not quite ready to get back to the office yet. We don't know specifically when. To your point about maybe now is the time to acquire these, regardless of when you expect to return to the office because of the availability of those funds. So more important than anything is to get that message out that, again, not knowing exactly when you're coming back to the office really doesn't matter, because right now is the time to consider the purchase or acquisition of these type of
Yeah, Wade,
It's like a use it or lose it. If you don't use it, you're going to have to pay it back.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a preparation step. We hear quite often, this is a comfort level. The air is better. It's also a comfort level that people that are running businesses are taking the steps to make it as safe as possible. Yeah. And it's got staying power, as Wade and Brian have both mentioned. That's not just now, it's there. And there's a comfort level. Many people aren't comfortable yet, but this will be another step to encourage them to get it back to a little bit of normalcy.
Exactly. I just wanted to include an additional slide regarding the CARES Act, which again, air purifiers are an approved CARES fund expense. The reason I want to include this is just to reiterate that the value and importance of clean air goes beyond just the office environment, schools, it's small businesses. It's in fact, the whole Boston Clean division has created a whole new category of customers for us. Beyond our normal office customers, we now have schools, we have health facilities, we have boutique gyms, we have restaurants, because of all these added categories of services and products. So again, having the government involved in supporting the funding of air purification has been a huge part of this opportunity.
Wade, I might add that those new business sectors that we're dealing with, those are all based on these businesses wanting to attract more customers, and they feel the customers will feel safer if there is air purification in these businesses.
Exactly.
And if I could just mention, I mentioned that we're a Massachusetts company. We deployed 100 Celios G200s to the North Andover public school system a couple of months ago for the purposes of use within school nurses, administrative offices, and those sort of small classrooms that are often dedicated to individual education programs, physical therapy, occupational therapy. They've been very thrilled with them. So I'd encourage that if any of you have kids and have school systems that you care about as they go from either remote or hybrid to full in-person over the next couple of months, to get in touch with Steve and Wade. We have a lot of learning about the deployment into school systems in Massachusetts.
Great, thank you. This slide, and this will be included with anybody that would like a copy of this presentation after the webinar, but these links take you to all sorts of supportive documentation, videos, newsletters. And I guess I wanted to point out, Rob or Brian, that these are all validated by independent third-party organizations. Otherwise, you wouldn't have, I guess, provided this type of documentation. Is that correct?
Yeah, so as a medical device company, everything that we do related to the SARS-CoV-2 claim has very stringent requirements with regard to proving the size of the particles that we can capture, being able to validate the claims with which the efficiency of which we capture those particles, having a quality policy as part of our go-to-market strategy. And those claims are not done by us. The studies are not done by us. They're done by third parties, including Blue Heaven and Intertech, leading laboratories in the space of indoor air quality. And we love to share it. So that second link there, the scientific brief, SARS-CoV-2 and potential airborne transmission is very interesting. And the fourth link, the white paper, is a really good summary of all of our studies around gases, particles, viruses, and bacteria. So that's kind of a quick read, that fourth link, if you want to take a look as a primer for our studies.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of give some visual again of what this air purifier looks like and the parts involved. This specific unit does cover 200 to 450 square feet. But with that said, if the room is larger than that, we've had situations where you've piggybacked with multiple units. So, Brian, this might be a good time to kind of go into some detail about the system, the type of filters, things like that.
Yeah, sure. And if you don't mind me playing Vanna White, I'll do a little bit of a demonstration here to sort of walk you through the unit. Just in terms of the size, just to get a perspective, this is about 9 pounds. It's 14 by 5 by 10 in size. So if I put it by me, you can kind of get a sense of the size. Lightweight and portable. And really that's a very important piece of the value proposition of this particular air purifier is we like to say that you're bringing the cleanest air as close to you as possible and sort of putting this bubble of clean air around you. Because of its portability, I spend my day with the device right next to me at my desk, and I'm working from home. It comes with me up to the bedroom, and likewise in an office setting. When we're working in the office, Rob's there today, and I'll be there tomorrow. We go and we bring it from the office into the conference room, so we bring one device in each of our offices into the conference rooms, and now you have 2 in the conference room to allow yourself sort of piggybacking and more scrubbing. The other thing I'll mention before just dissecting this thing a little bit for you is there are 4 fan speeds that allow you to change the amount of air coming through the core filter. And the 2 lower fan speeds, I see there's a question on here about decibel level, generate in the 38 or so decibel levels, which is the lowest fan speeds, perfect for when you're working, reading, you can be on the phone. The next one up is kind of a white noise level. And then the 2 higher fan speeds, speed 3 and 4, we sort of call our scrubbing mode. So ideal when you crank it up to 4, shut off the lights and close the door and let the device work for you overnight, scrubbing the air. So that portability and those different fan speeds allow for a real high amount of versatility. I should mention that it runs not only on main outlet power, but also 2 lithium-ion batteries that allow it to run for up to 24 hours without being plugged in. So you don't have to hunt around for a plug, you just pick it up and move it with you. So I'll just give maybe a 2-minute demo. I like to do it based on sort of how the air comes into the device and gets cleaned. So there are 2 grills at the top of the device, one here and one here, that provide a bit of mechanical filtration. They're removable and washable. And yet there's another stainless steel filter. This is really to sort of just get the sticks and twigs out from getting into the more sophisticated technology inside the device. The air comes down through the outside through a plenum and down up through a very large carbon filter. I'll pull it out for you. So this carbon filter, we describe it as a brick. It's coarse ground carbon, and unlike most HEPA filters on the market today, which literally just spray carbon onto a pre-filter, this is a massive brick, and it does a really effective job at eliminating those volatile organic compounds and odors. After the air passes through that brick, it comes into the core, which is removable from the stand. So I'm going to pop this out and show you the core. This core functions on its own, so it's even more portable. It's about the size of a small cereal box. And you can move this anywhere you'd like. You can set it down on its side. You can set it down. We have a mini stand. You can set it upright. And running without the main stand, you give up the carbon filtration, but it really does become a lot more portable. So the air, as I was saying, goes through that carbon filter and then up through the bottom of the device. And I'm going to just take it apart so you can see where it goes. Up through the bottom of the device through a pre-filter here, which you can see on your screen, a very small filter. And then these are the 2 lithium-ion batteries, which project the air through a turbine fan that was designed to cool servers and server farms. So it spins it up to 25,000 RPMs, makes a very fast turbulent airflow to bring the air up through the most important filter, which we call our core filter, which is removable and airtight. So one of the most important aspects of our device is everything is sealed. So every molecule of air that comes into those hot fans comes out filtered. There's no leakage. It's 100% airtight. So the single pass efficiency of the air through the device is unlike anything else on the market. So I think I'll stop there. I'm sure there's probably some questions, but as you can tell, this is very different than sort of a typical air filter, a HEPA filter, which is a big fan and a 70-year-old filtration medium. This takes a radically different approach, and it's what has allowed us to be able to get those really, really small particles very, very efficiently.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the demonstration. That's very helpful. So Boston being in the partnership with Celios really has to do with the service we provide. So beyond coming in to do the actual installation and assembly of the air purification system for our customers, we provide a air filter change program. So basically for 2 years, you don't have to worry about anything in terms of when each type of filter needs to be changed, because we'll have that already scheduled. Not every filter is changed at the same time. So again, that adds a little more complexity to it. And again, the service we provide for our customers in our normal business before COVID-19, they never had to worry about if they're going to have coffee or snacks or any of their break room supplies. And now they don't have to worry about whether or not they need to change the filters in their air filtration system. So again, that's the service that we provide for our customers when it comes to this partnership with Celios.
Wade, I had a quick question. You mentioned that the filter program lasts 2 years, but clients can extend that for as long as they'd like.
Certainly, yep. So Donato, I know we probably got a lot of questions that came in during the course of this webinar. So if you want to go ahead and I guess disseminate those, we'll determine who's the best panelist to answer that question.
Okay, sure. One of the questions was about how loud or not loud the unit is, and that was, I believe, covered during the presentation. One of the first ones that came in was how long do you have to have the air purifier on before the room is considered purified?
I'll take that, and I'll start with the answer that everybody always hates, which is it depends, right? So it depends on a number of factors as to whether the doors are open or closed, the windows, what the HVAC background filtration is, how high the ceilings are, whether it's carpeted or not. That said, if you're looking for sort of a ballpark, if you're running the device on at full speed in a small room, you're going to spin the air at least once per hour completely. And so while a HEPA filter might spin that air 2 or 3 times, because the HEPAs are none on the market are airtight, and because their efficiency is dramatically less, one spin through this Celios G200 is going to give you a dramatically better filtration. So just to put it into numbers, so let's take a room that's 10 by 10 by 10. 10 by 10 and 10-foot ceiling, which we'll pick a particle size of 300 nanometers, which is one that is well studied with HEPA. And you turn on a HEPA filter, and at the 300 nanometer size, let's say there's 10 billion particles that are that size. After one spin through our device, you'll have a couple hundred to maybe, that's about right, 300 or so particles left in the room. Spinning through a HEPA filter, which is 99.97 effective, you're going to have millions of particles left in the room. And so I described it to Steve and Wade yesterday as like the mosquito magnet that we had in the yard for years and years, where you thought like you caught hundreds or thousands of mosquitoes, but out of the millions that were there, it didn't do much good. So our philosophy is first time efficiency. And if you can spin the air a couple of times in an hour in that size room, you're effectively going to have more cleaner air than any other technology you can buy on the market today.
Yeah. And this might have been covered a little bit, but I wanted to just re-ask it just to get a straight answer to the question. What square footage is covered by a single unit and a high ceiling unit?
Yeah, so the coverage area is, as mentioned, 2 to 450 square feet. It's a bit of an arbitrary number because it depends on how long you want to run it, right? So we can cover a much larger room if you run the device at full power for a longer period of time. We're conforming a bit to the industry standard definitions of a smaller room, so that kind of 250 to 450 square feet. So think about a 15 by 15 to 20 by 20 size room. We can handle with great efficiency.
So as an example, and it was one of the other questions, if a customer has a 1,500 square foot kitchen, would you then have 3 units just kind of spread around the room? Is that how that you would kind of approach picking the right solution?
Yeah, first of all, I want to come to dinner at that place. That sounds like a nice kitchen. Yes, that's exactly what you do. You buy multiple units, and depending upon where the people are, you put the clean air where the people are, right? I mean, there's this big misnomer about cleaning the air in a room, but the air that is most important is the air that's coming into your lungs. And so the really important thing is to put the cleanest air as close to the people as you can. So moving the air around that very large kitchen, you'd be wise to put it near where people are congregating. And we have some use cases in restaurants in Massachusetts where that's exactly what they do. They do have some indoor dining space, and they put it between the diners, and then before they open, they put it to the back of the office where the kitchen workers are, and then overnight they put some up front, some in back, and they turn the power all the way up. That's what we do in our office as well. As we leave, we crank them to fan speed 4. We come in the next day, and the air, you can almost taste it. It's got a crispness to it that you can tell it's been scrubbed.
Yeah. All right. That leads into this next question pretty well, actually. So they're thinking about putting the air purifiers in the conference rooms throughout the facility. When they're not in use, do you need to leave them running 24/7, or a certain amount of time they should be running before the meetings for the day start, or just some recommendation around that?
Yeah, my recommendation is, we're we're in the middle of a pandemic, and as risk mitigation, I think as business owners and leaders, it's up to us to do everything we possibly can to reduce the risk of SARS-CoV-2 transmission. So our recommendation is, scrub the air prior, run the device, turn the fan speed down, run the device while the meeting's going, and scrub the air afterwards. Because we know with regard to the latest science that it's the continuous exposure to airborne aerosolized SARS-CoV-2. There's that 15-minute mark that science has sort of deemed important for exposure. So if somebody, God forbid, has been emitting SARS-CoV-2 when they're exhaling, that can stay there for hours. So you want to scrub that air afterwards too. So scrub before, run it on lower fan speeds while you're in there, and scrub it after.
Perfect. This person wants to know, how do I know when to change the filters? Do you purchase or rent from Boston Bean? Just a little explanation about that. And I think Wade might be able to answer that. Do you schedule filter changes?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a good question. And again, that's part of that service component that Boston Clean does provide. We want to make sure that those filters are changed before they're actually needed to be changed, to make sure that they're clean and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So with any of these air purifiers, we put together a schedule in our system to make sure that specific dates are identified for changing them. We come in, we replace those filters. And again, not every one of those filters is changed at the same time. So we make sure, again, if it's the core filter, the pre-filter, or the carbon filter, we make sure the appropriate one is changed when it needs to be changed. There is a separate cost to the filters themselves, but again, that's based on the frequency of when they're needed to be changed.
Coming off of the potential maintenance, if one breaks down, is that something that Boston Clean can help handle as well, and as well as helping with the filter changes?
Sure. I mean, as long as they're part of that filter change program, or maybe they're on our rental program, we'll take care of any repairs, or we'll simply replace the unit for them. So again, one less thing that they have to worry about.
All right, getting through most of them now. What about areas that don't have electrical outlets readily or close by, or available if you already have 100 things plugged in?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I mean, that's, as I mentioned, one of the distinct advantages. This is the only portable air purifier in the country that is run by 2 lithium-ion batteries that will allow it to run for up to 24 hours without being plugged in. So to the extent that you can find a plug somewhere and charge that device up, you can then sort of set it and forget it and bring it with you for the rest of the day, as long as it can find a plug at some point to recharge. And it can charge in the stand or the core itself outside of the stand. They both have adapter plugs in them. So it's really one of the more convenient use case aspects of the device.
Yeah, Brian, just to build on that, if you can see, this is exactly what I did today. Is I brought my the core in, and I have it next to me, no battery needed, and run it all day. Stick it under my arm when I come into the office, set it up, and good to go.
You could bring it in the car.
Yeah,
It's right in the car too.
That's a great point.
Yeah, in fact, that's a use case for sure that people are and companies are looking at.
Let me tell you, Steve, it has done wonders in our minivan after the Packard family road trips. Yes, it's very, very helpful.
yeah. There's a company in my building that is, does the transportation services. I bet if they haven't looked into this already, they might be calling. So just back, and this was covered a little bit on a scientific answer, but if there's a way to get it into a short 60-second clip, one of the questions is that there's air purifiers you can get on Amazon and places like that are HEPA filters. Yours is obviously much higher rated. Can you just, in a quick answer, talk a little bit about just what makes this type of filtration so much more. And I like the example you mentioned of the mosquitoes and all that, but just a quick clip answer of what really, why these are so much better and why you wouldn't want to just go out and buy one of those, other systems.
Sure. So HEPA is a standard. It doesn't describe a particular type of filter substrate. It's a standard that it's not particularly hard to do a pretty good job at capturing a high percentage of particles. It's very, very difficult to get nearly 100% of the very smallest particles. And it's taken decades of study in the mechanical air purification world. And we just followed the lead of what clean rooms do, where it's vitally important that you get as much of the smallest particles captured as possible. And we miniaturized it. So it really comes down to the filtration substrate that is in our core, and then all of the other technology that protects and pre-filters the air that's coming in here, making an airtight solution so that you don't do all this work and then spin air around it. Those are a lot of innovations, and you really do get what you pay for. In this case, you are getting the cleanest air you can buy.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Otherwise, it's just there to make everyone feel better, but not really, not really making them safer.
I would just add, feeling better is a really important part of this. The emotional importance of an employee walking into their workspace knowing that their employer has done everything that they can, and they've been thoughtful about the decision process that they've gone through, and they've taken the time to learn about the science. That makes employees feel better. It makes customers who are walking into your place of work feel better. It makes us feel better as, we have employees too, and we protect them with the same device that Steve and Wade are trying to make available to you. So this emotional piece, it really does matter. And if you're making the decision to bring supplemental air purification into your business, why not pick, the most efficient that you can find?
Awesome. All right. So now a question popped up that was going to kind of covers what I was going to mention. So once a Boston Clean or Boston Bean or a customer might be interested in acquiring one of these, Wade and Steve, there are the two options between buying and renting. Can you just talk a little bit about, once you decide, about, I don't know if you can talk about cost or if it depends, but maybe just give a little details about the two options and the differences.
Sure. That's a great question. And I mean, the reality is if they qualify for the PPP loan, the purchase would probably make most sense, considering that opportunity and the timing of those funds being available. The rental is certainly an option too if they don't qualify for that loan, and maybe it's not part of the budget, where a rental program makes more sense for them from a financial standpoint. But in either case, we do have that the filter replacement program, regardless of a purchase or a rental program.
And for exact cost, Donato, we can reach out to the client directly or potential client directly and give them, a full proposal so they understand exactly what the costs are with either program.
Okay. All right. So I think that, double check the Q&A area. In terms of the recording for the presentation, how is that going to be shared? Is that going to be emailed to just all the attendees individually, or that was one of the earlier on questions?
Great question. We will follow up with every attendee, whether it be the specific route sales manager or one of the executive sales team. These are the contacts listed, myself, Craig Warner, and Mike Mignon. We can provide a copy of both this presentation, and there will be an edited version of this webinar, which we will eventually post to our website, and we can provide a link to anybody that would like that as well. It'll be loaded up on YouTube.
All right, so that's great. I think that concludes the questions, and we'll be uploading the recording to the YouTube channel this afternoon after it converts, and probably breaking it down into some smaller clips for quick questions that were covered.
All right, great. All right, well, Donato, thanks again for facilitating and to the entire panelists, as well as everyone that took the time out of their lunch hour to attend this webinar. We do appreciate it. And again, we will follow up with everyone individually. Thanks again, everybody.
I'd like to thank our clients for watching. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you,
day.
everybody.